Si-Fu Julian
Si-Fu.
We're here today in memory of Grandmaster Yip Man on the 40th anniversary of his death. However, this remembrance class is far more than just about Grandmaster Yip Man. This is not only because it's right, it's also because Grandmaster Yip Man himself would have wanted this. A humble man, a man who was most happy in the shadows and in the silence. He would not want a fuss made of him. However, it is right, as a Kung Fu family and as martial artists, that we honour those who have come and died before us. So this day is about Grandmaster Yip Man and a celebration of those masters that allowed us to have what we have today. It's important for us to remember we are only here today, in this room, learning this beautiful martial art because of the masters that are here. Without each and every one of these masters, none of us would have this possibility. And it's important we reflect on this. Too often in today's society, when we seek instant gratification, we think we can get everything we want when we want it now, and there's a price. No. Some things are not about a price. Some things are not about what the here and now. It's about appreciating more than just us. More than just what's around us, but what came before us. The path we are on today is because it was a path that others allowed us to take. Without wanting to seem overly dramatic, this martial art only survived because the masters on the board here were prepared to fight and dedicate their whole lives to it. Not just prepared to fight, but unnamed and unidentifiable students in the Shaolin Temple died so that we, and so that the 5 top masters could have this martial art. If you think about that very carefully, they died for a martial art. They died for something, an ideal, a belief, a concept that they believed so strongly that their life didn't mean anything to them. They knew they were laying down their lives. And we today have the benefit of this. Wing Tsun only existed because the students laid down their line when the Manchu government came to destroy the Shaolin Temple 250, 300 years ago. They were only there because they laid down, and these 5 masters, Miao Hin, Chi Xin, Pak Mei, Fun Do Tak, and Un Moi, were able to escape. We had that. They died for you. They died for this generation. It didn't die with them. 300 years on, it still lives. They died for you. They died for us. They died for Wing Tsun. And for this we must remember them. As martial artists, it's not only traditional to honor the dead, but it's right. Too often people believe and see too much in their own ego. They think they're the greatest. They think they're the best now, better than any generation that ever came before them. I'm so wonderful right now. Nobody's better than me. But this is not true. This is an unquantifiable who's the best. What is quantifiable is they were before us. And they were great. Each one of them added something to Wing Tsun. Each one of them made their mark on this beautiful art. Each one of them. And it's important to remember that. Each one of these people, as we go through the family tree, they fought for us. They fought for Wing Tsun. Their whole lives in the pursuit of this. And for this, I don't wish to say more about Grandmaster Yip Man. His deeds are well known. You can read about them and hear about them. They speak for himself. What is important is that we know and respect this. Today is not necessary for me to give you a history lesson, but it's necessary that we came together to respect these masters. What we can do for them is we can try to live up to their standards. And this is where Grandmaster Yip Man personified this. Dignified, noble, honourable, loyal, standing strong under pressure, fighting for what he believed. These are the ideals that hardly exist today. They're like this and blown away. But we can show that's not the case. We can show that we understand that this martial art that transcends nations. And actually this is the most interesting part of the history, is if you go through it, it's a diverse family that's gone through. And its creation in the Shaolin Temple was known as a melting pot. People from all nations came there. It was not just Chinese, it was a melting pot. Buddha Rama came from India. Everything was a melting pot in the Shaolin Temple. And we've continued that on today. We've continued that with different nationalities here present. With that, we have 2 more people that we would like to particularly honour today. They died in recent times. Master Wong Kyu. You'll see there's a memorial plaque on the top. Master Wong Kyu was the last of, was the eldest, not the last, but the eldest at the time of his death, surviving student of Grandmaster Yip Man. He was an original student of him. And he really showed the dignity of a martial artist. He was a good friend of the Nongqing Wing Tsun family, and I rarely met a man more noble than him. I had the pleasure of accompanying him for a week or so, and charming, dignified and humble. He spent many years, I think from 1973 or 74, teaching. Actually, only when he retired, he started teaching Wing Tsun. And he said some of the most important words about Wing Tsun, which you'll see up there. The traditions and the art of Wing Tsun are the most important. If we change them, sooner or later we have nothing left. He also has a particular poignant part for me. Last week when teaching the Chisao seminar, I was explaining how I had a very fortunate escape. I was in a car crash when my friend was driving, and how I had, according to the actuaries, a minus 20% chance of living. Well, this was in 2009, and I found out the next day, on the same hour, on the same day as my crash, Master Wong Kyu died. On the same hour, on the same day. So for me, to survive this miraculous crash, I wouldn't be here today, I believe, without some kind of help from Master Wong Kyu. The next master we're honouring today is Si-Fu Julian. He was one of the longest running students of my Si-Fu. Tragically died in 2008. Actually, he was a typical old master, very silent, very quiet, completely dedicated. Moved hundreds of miles away to open up a school to promote Wing Tsun and further Wing Tsun education. He was also the person I mentioned in the Chisao seminar last year that miraculously recovered from another car crash, as it happened, when he was also a passenger. And he was paralyzed, in a coma, but he came back and said many times that it was Wing Tsun that saved him from coming back. In fact, I read again an article that was written by him about this. When he was in the coma and they weren't sure whether he was going to live, they were certain he was never going to walk again. Every day, Si-Gung and his students, when the doctors were looking, picked him up and did Chisao with him in his coma. And they find out his Chisao was so well trained that just reacted in a coma, his nervous system instantly. You can just imagine how dedicated a person is to have that in a coma react for them. But later the doctors credited some of his recovery to this training that Si-Gung did with him when he was in a coma, stimulating the brain activity to help him walk again when he was told he was unlikely to survive and was never going to walk. And not just this. 3 months later there was on Si-Gung's door. When Si-Gung opened it, Si-Fu, can I come back and train now? 3 months later he was back training. 3 months later, from a crash he was told he should have died. Told he was never going to walk again. These are the miracle workers of Wing Tsun. These are the people that believed so strongly that nothing, they never let anything put in their past. Grandmaster Yip Man was another. He never, despite all the problems when he had to flee to Hong Kong, they never gave up. The 5 founding masters, they didn't give up. No matter what came against them, no matter how big the odds, the impossibility of the task, the certainty of defeat, they never gave up. And somehow that certainty of defeat, some stopped being certain, then stopped being likely, and then changed. today it's important to remember also. They may be no longer physically with us, but I believe they're still with us. They are still, their guiding hand is still on what we learn. Their key signposts are still there. The movements, the clues they put in the art are still there, they're still guiding us. It's an unseen hand. I don't just talk about spirits, I talk about actually, physically, they put something, some clues from the past they gave to us. They're still with us. They are still with us. They are living through the art that we are doing. They are living through the art that we are doing. And this is why today we have 2 seats in honor of 2 masters here. You cannot see them, but it doesn't mean they're not there. I would like to say a little bit more about Dai Sihing Sabal. Sihing will talk a few words about this now, so from a more personal note.
Well, this is not an easy moment because I wish I could tell you a lot about Dai Sihing, but unfortunately I have never met Dai Sihing. But Dai Sihing is the reason I fell in love with Wing Tsun and why I started Wing Tsun. And how is this possible? It's a very nice story, and that's all I would like to say. Dai Sihing started to teach my brother back in Hungary, and my brother was a typical 10-11-year-old little boy. Everybody bullied him at the school, everybody took advantage of his size. Even me, sometimes when he came home after school, we had some little bros and I just slapped him a couple of times and I was laughing. It was all fun, and then he started to train Wing Tsun under Dai Sihing. And Dai Sihing trained him for about a year before I ended up trying to mess about with my brother, who's 7 years younger than me. I was back then 19 years old, he was 12 years old, and I just started to slap him about and play with him, and then he got enough of the whole situation and he just chain punched me to the bed and I was totally outpowered by a little boy back then. This was the moment where I said that this is working, this is actually unbelievable. I felt as a much bigger person, totally controlled by a small young boy, and I could see on my brother when this reaction came out of him, he was looking at his own fists and he couldn't believe what he just did. And he immediately apologized because he was scared of what's going to happen now. My big brother is going to stand up and come back to me. But no, I was so happy to see him change so much. And it's not just the physical side of the changes. He was the shyest person I ever knew, and he became someone totally different, standing up in front of people, talking, showing his skills. I remember once at the Christmas time, I think it was my last Christmas day back in Hungary, and he stood up and he showed Siunim Tao for the whole family and explained about the techniques, and I could see a changed man in 1 year. In 1 year. This was the point about more than 10 years ago when I decided that whatever happens, I'm going to train Wing Tsun. But it didn't happen. It didn't happen only 9 years after that I found this school, and I can't tell you how happy I was to find Sigmund's picture on the website when I went on it. I thought that this cannot be true, that I find a school where I can learn what my brother learned. And this is exactly what Si-Fu told, that impossible is nothing, and the masters, they did not die for nothing. This is how someone can give you so much inspiration, although you never met him. I've never met Dai Sihing, but if someone owes him, then this is me, because I owe him with, I believe, with my life and with my brother's life as well.
To do this, there was a special song that they play in Hungary as a tribute to Dai Sihing.
Fly, fly by the wings of the falcon. Fly over 3 mountains. Fly, fly, we're waiting for you where the roads end. You have to understand, we've not been living for nothing. The world where you live now is the world of the world. You have to live the way that you're gonna be the flower of the world. Fly, fly by the wing of the falcon. Fly over 3 mountains. Fly, fly, we're waiting for you where all the roads end.
Nézrám, s ne ígérj, nézd rám, sose félj, ha nincs hely, ahol élj, indulj hazafelé.
Now we bow to the masters. Grandmaster Yip Man. Shaolin
Si-Fu
Master Kwoon. Dicing Subtle Friends. Now we train in the honor. Just goes on.